Yo, what is up, my friends? Welcome back into the podcast. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockett, your host of the show. Guys, if you haven't noticed, I took a little bit of a break from my podcast at the end of the regular season last year. I had some things that I needed to get done, including moving. If you haven't noticed, I have a different background. So I took a little bit of a break from my podcast in order to get these things done. But it's very good to be back on the show. I'm going to be getting at you guys every single day with 2022 fantasy football content from now all the way through the entire fantasy football season this coming year. And I'm going to be starting with my sleepers for the 2022 draft. I know everybody wants to talk about their first round picks and who they're taking with the first pick and in the first round, but those are so obvious that I really don't want to waste your time with that. I want to be talking to you guys about sleeper picks, and I want to be very clear about what I mean by sleepers. Sleepers don't necessarily have to mean somebody that's taken after pick 100. What I mean is players that are being taken simply too late in the draft. If it means that they're being taken in the 7th round when they should be taken in the 3rd or 4th or 5th round, then that qualifies as a sleeper pick. So I'm going to get right into my sleepers, guys. But real quick, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. If you do enjoy my content, make sure to give me a like, as likes help my channel tremendously. I am going to be blowing this channel up this year, so I need you guys' support so I can continue to podcast every single day. All right, guys. I'm going to get right into my first player, and that is Tyler Lockett. Okay, guys, Tyler Lockett is being taken too late in this draft from what I've seen so far. I mean, look, he's going around the 45th pick ADP-wise right now, and that's too late. He honestly really should be drafted ahead of DK Metcalf. We saw this season that Russell Wilson actually favors Tyler Lockett to DK Metcalf. Obviously, Tyler Lockett is more big play dependent, but he's got such a good deep ball thrower in Russell Wilson feeding him the rock that the fact that he's big play dependent isn't really a problem. This is the kind of guy that can take 4 or 5 targets a game and give you 150 plus yards and multiple touchdowns. This dude wins you weeks single-handedly with monster fantasy performances. And he showed last year to actually be a little bit more consistent when Russell Wilson is actually in the lineup. Obviously, he had a little bit of a downswing around the middle of the season, but that's when Russell Wilson got hurt. He needs Russell Wilson to get him the ball. No other quarterback can get Tyler Lockett the ball like Russell Wilson. Okay, this is one of the best deep ball connections in fantasy football that I have ever seen. And as long as Russell Wilson is healthy and on the field, Tyler Lockett is an ace wide receiver. He's going to win you weeks, and he's going to be more consistent than people give him credit for. So the fact that he's being taken after DK Metcalf, the fact that he's being taken around the 45th pick is actually kind of ridiculous. This dude is going to be a top 8 wide receiver this coming year, and he should be drafted more around pick number 30 or 35 as opposed to pick 45 in the draft. So reach for Tyler Lockett in the draft this year. It's going to benefit you. Next on my list is going to be Justin Fields, guys. The Bears are going to add wide receiving weapons over the offseason. We saw Darnell Mooney emerge as a really good wide receiver this past year. And there's no doubt, Justin Fields is the guy. This is Justin Fields' team. They're going to load him up with weapons over the offseason. He's a dual-threat quarterback that can torch you for 100 yards on the ground. And look, this is going to be a good NFL quarterback, guys. Everybody needs a little bit of time to develop. This next year is going to be Justin Fields' year. And I would advise drafting Justin Fields for your fantasy team this year. He's going to be a breakout star. Next on my list is going to be Sony Michel. Okay, guys. Sony Michel is a very good running back. The only problem is he was in a platoon split backfield this year with Darrell Henderson, and it really wasn't as much of a split backfield as I thought it was going to be. Darrell Henderson was actually handling the majority of the carries, so Sony Michel was essentially just a backup. But this is still a very talented running back. He averages 4.5 yards per carry in his career. This is an efficient running back. He's a talented running back. And if he gets put on a team where he's actually the lead workhorse back, which I think is most likely going to happen due to his talent level, he is going to be a fantasy superstar this year. So if Sony Michel gets put on a team where he's the workhorse, you need to draft him. If he gets put on a team where it's a split backfield, it's a completely different situation, and I would actually fade Sony Michel in the draft. But odds are he's going to be on a team where he's the lead workhorse back, and in that case, he needs to be drafted. Next on my list is going to be Tony Pollard. Okay, guys, I am going to come out and say right here that Tony Pollard is my biggest sleeper pick in this year's draft. This dude has an immense talent level. Not a lot of people really know who Tony Pollard is yet, but he's going to take over the Cowboys' backfield at some point in this next season. Zeke has a lot of tread on the tires. The Cowboys are going to be looking for explosive playmakers, especially if they lose Michael Gallup and have less of a awesome wide receiving core. They're going to be looking for explosive playmakers. Tony Pollard is the more explosive back than Zeke. He's faster, he's more elusive, and at this point in his career, he's just better. And I hate to say it because I'm such a big Ezekiel Elliott fan, but Tony Pollard is the better back at this point. It's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when he takes over the Cowboys' backfield. And Tony Pollard is going to be a fantasy beast at some point this year. And considering the fact that I think that Cowboys offense is going to bounce back and actually be really good this coming season, Tony Pollard is a potential running back one, and he's going to be taken way late in drafts. I mean, you could steal this dude in like the 7th, 8th, 9th round of the draft. I mean, people aren't going to be reaching for Tony Pollard nearly early enough in drafts, and you need to start considering drafting this dude around late in the 6th round in the draft. And you can definitely get him at that point, and you're getting potential running back one value. Next on my list is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. Okay, we don't really know what the quarterback situation is going to be with the Colts. It looks like Carson Wentz probably is not going to be with the Colts this year. With that being said, Michael Pittman Jr. is an alpha-type wide receiver. He's 6'4". He's very talented. And whoever is throwing him the ball, we know that they're going to force-feed him the rock. Okay, they got to throw the ball to somebody. They can't hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor or pass to Jonathan Taylor on every single play. T.Y. Hilton is a little bit older now, and if I'm not mistaken, they only signed him to a one-year deal last year, and I don't even know if he's going to be with the team this year. Regardless, Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be the number one wide receiver on this Colts team, and they're going to be feeding him the rock 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times a game. He's going to get massive target share just like he did this past year, no matter who his quarterback is. And considering the fact that he's going to be the number one receiver on the team, considering the fact that he has alpha male size at 6'4", considering the fact that he is an extremely talented wide receiver who a lot of people really just don't know about yet, you can get really good value for Michael Pittman in the draft. And you need to reach for Michael Pittman because he's going to benefit your team greatly. Next on my list is going to be Kareem Hunt. Okay, guys, I have Kareem Hunt as a sleeper pick every single season. And there's a very simple reason for this. Kareem Hunt ends up being ranked right around Nick Chubb in weekly rankings around week 5 of every season. And yet Nick Chubb gets taken in the 1st or 2nd round and Kareem Hunt gets taken in like the 7th round. It makes no sense. Last year before Kareem Hunt got hurt, in everybody's weekly rankings, Kareem Hunt was starting to be ranked ahead of Nick Chubb on a week-to-week basis for PPR leagues because he's the pass-catching back. He ends up getting more high-value touches because he comes in and gets a lot of goal line work. So the fact that Nick Chubb is drafted as a 1st-round running back or a 2nd-round running back and Kareem Hunt is drafted in like the 7th round makes absolutely no sense. You might as well fade Nick Chubb early in the draft and get Kareem Hunt later because you're getting essentially Nick Chubb value with a way later pick. So you could take another badass running back early in the draft, fade Nick Chubb, and draft Kareem Hunt later, and you're getting a Nick Chubb caliber fantasy running back at a steal. So fade Nick Chubb, draft Kareem Hunt later in the draft. Next on my list is going to be Amari Cooper. Guys, this is contingent on what happens with Michael Gallup. If the three-headed monster is still in Dallas, I really would actually fade Amari Cooper. But here's what I'm thinking. Michael Gallup's probably going to go somewhere else. The Cowboys are probably going to be a little bit less run-heavy this coming season, considering the fact that Zeke is getting old and he's really not the running back that he used to be. So I think it's going to be more of a pass-first attack. So if it's a pass-first attack, and the offense is led by just CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is going to get immense target share increase this coming season, and he's probably going to get in the end zone a lot. He's going to be a big-time fantasy sleeper. So we got to see what happens with Michael Gallup. But if the Cowboys don't re-sign Michael Gallup and they become more of a pass-first team like I think they're going to do this coming season, Amari Cooper is an absolute sleeping giant for fantasy football. All right, guys, those are my sleeper picks. I hope this video helped. Obviously, we are way far away from the draft, and a lot of these things are going to change, but it's never too early to start speculating as to what is going to happen in the draft, who you're going to take, when you're going to take them. And I like doing these sleeper videos because I like to give you players that are a little bit less obvious instead of just wasting your time with talking about first-round talent. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning into the video, and I'll catch you later.